Welcome to another edition of Breaking News brought to you by Source Selection Soundbites. In this episode, we will review Global Technical Systems, or GTS, decided at the GAO. In this procurement, the Navy sought a technology insertion for its combat system computing environment installed on some of its ships. The evaluation factors were 1. Manufacture, assembly, test, and engineering. 2. Facilities. 3. Program management and control. And 4. Past performance. All proposals would be determined to be acceptable or unacceptable under the evaluation factors. The solicitation stated that award would be made to the offerer submitting the lowest priced, technically acceptable proposal. Upon reading the portion of the PWS for engineering services and the Navy's continued refusal to provide any additional detail in response to questions from industry, GTS filed a protest against the agency. GTS asserted that the lack of any meaningful description of the types of engineering services required, or the goals to be achieved, coupled with the fact that award under the solicitation is to be made to the lowest priced, technically acceptable proposal, will encourage offerers to propose unrealistic labor mixes in order to achieve the lowest possible price. Moreover, according to the protester, offerers who do not play the lowball pricing game will be disadvantaged for proposing what they believe to be a more realistic labor mix. In any event, the protester argues that, given the current dearth of information regarding the engineering services requirement, offerers will be forced to make wild guesses in proposing engineering services costs. En route to finding against the agency, the GAO stated that as a general rule, a solicitation must be drafted in a fashion that enables offerers to intelligently prepare their proposals and must be sufficiently free from ambiguity so that offerers may compete on a common basis. That is, offerers must be given sufficient detail to allow them to compete intelligently and on a relatively equal basis. The agency's description of its needs must be free from ambiguity and describe the agency's minimum needs accurately. The GAO determined that the solicitation's requirements for engineering services does not meet this standard. GAO continued by stating that although offerers were required to propose a detailed labor mix, the RFP's vague description of the engineering services required did not provide offerers with a sufficient description of the work to be performed or the results to be achieved on which to base their proposed labor mix. In this regard, the solicitation's description stated only that the engineering services could include tasks such as providing engineering analysis, conducting studies, and/or supporting engineering changes. Given this lack of information, the vendors had no rational basis on which to base their quotes, therefore the protest was sustained. Now let's address a few of the lessons learned from this protest. They include: 1. The PWS has to be sufficiently clear to allow offerers to intelligently compete. 2. When contractors request clarification or more elaboration on requirements, the CO should seriously consider the need to provide clarity and additional details where needed. And 3. The failure to provide additional information when needed may result in a protest sustained against the agency. In this episode of Source Selection Soundbites, we discussed the GTS case and some nuances of writing an effective PWS to promote competition. This concludes today's Source Selection Soundbite. If this video was helpful, hit the like and subscribe button to ensure you don't miss any new material. If you want more details on the subject, they are available on the Source Selection Answer app. It contains lectures, quizzes, court cases, sample documents, and more material that allows practitioners to quickly obtain actionable knowledge. Thanks for watching. See you next time.